Counterterrorism as a strategy is the targeting for capture or killing of specific terrorists. In these days of 24 and Jack Bauer, it can look pretty cool. Now, by its very nature, it's a secretive business, but there are certain aspects of it that can be discussed openly. The most important factor for success is accurate intelligence. We need to identify and locate specific terrorists in order to conduct operations against them. This is extraordinarily challenging as the terrorists have an obvious interest in not being found. Our intelligence agencies and those of our allies work constantly using human assets, electronic intercepts, and surveillance platforms such as drones and satellites to pinpoint the location of terrorists so that a strike can be conducted. This may be a Predator UAV launching a Hellfire missile, a jet dropping a bomb, a sniper pulling the trigger, or a couple helicopters full of special ops troops conducting a raid.
This is how it should be done right there.
3 guns, Mike. Probably have about 30 minutes of station time left is what we're tracking. But as soon as that vehicle moves out into the open, they're going to clear you guys to go kinetic on it. But until then, you're going to have to stand by.
This is amazing, dude. Check this out.
Roger, we're standing by. Keep your eyes on. It looks like the vehicle parked in a parking spot, not like any of the others. They don't. Doesn't look like they plan on blowing anytime in the next few minutes. But we got to maintain you guys on. We're going to push off a little bit, see if our presence, their lack of presence, will have them come back out.
In the Afghanistan-Pakistan theater, the terrorists are generally located in some of the most difficult terrain on Earth. These areas are inhabited by tribes that are very insular, and it's extremely difficult for outsiders to operate there undetected. Our UAVs are a prime asset as they can loiter over these areas unseen and show us real-time what is happening on the ground. What they can't tell us is what those people are planning to do. Taliban and Al-Qaeda leaders know that we monitor all forms of electronic communications, so they rarely use them, relying instead on hand-carried messages. Our efforts in Afghanistan have denied them safe haven there, and the Pakistani military has conducted several operations to force them out of areas they have controlled in that country. As long as they are hemmed into a fairly small area along the border, we can hit them with targeted strikes and limit their ability to plan and conduct large-scale terror attacks elsewhere. Hello, I'm Jim Hansen, Director of the Warrior Legacy Institute. We've been fighting the war in Afghanistan for 8 years now, and the American public has never really gotten a good explanation of what our strategy and goals are. This March, President Obama announced that he was sending an additional 21,000 troops there, and that our goal would be to deny safe havens to Al-Qaeda. He also placed General Stanley McChrystal in charge of our operations there, and asked him to make an assessment and recommendations as to what our next steps should be. General McChrystal has since asked for additional troops in order to put in place a population-centric counterinsurgency strategy. The key to fighting a population-centric counterinsurgency is gaining the trust of the local populace by providing them security and helping them increase their quality of life. It requires a high degree of interaction between our forces and the local Afghans. We need to move off our bases and live in close proximity to them, both to safeguard them from the Taliban and to show them that we share their sacrifices. One of the first changes General McChrystal made was to issue a tactical directive that aims to limit the number of civilians killed in our operations to as few as possible. This directive places restrictions on when we may fire on civilian structures, even when our troops are taking fire from them. However, if they are in danger and cannot use other means, they are explicitly permitted to call for whatever fire is necessary to protect themselves.
Adjust fire, polar, over. Roger, copy. Danger close. How are they danger close to my position, over? Do it, do it, do it.
Afghanistan is a fiercely tribal culture, and when we kill members of a particular group, we may lose the opportunity to improve relations with that entire tribe. Counterinsurgency works to gain the trust of individual leaders and members of the tribes so that they will eventually inform on the locations of insurgents and whether or not their own villages have been infiltrated. None of this is possible without the creation of additional Afghan security forces. We need to train and equip large numbers of them so they can operate alongside of us, and once areas have been pacified, they can take over responsibility for security. Counterinsurgency operations unfold like this. We move into a new area with our Afghan partners, using as little force as possible to clear it of insurgents. Meetings with the local elders must be held to make security agreements and also to establish which products can increase their quality of life.
We need to have this meeting because it's an Afghan face. When Americans go in there and say, you need this, then it's an American solution to an Afghan problem, and that does not work. The elders are the closest ones to the people of the village. And when the elder told us that his top concern is irrigation, followed by treating malaria, and if we go in there and try to treat medical problems for animals, then you've got a problem. That's the reason why we have these shuras.
Eventually, areas become secure enough for the follow-on civilians to surge in. The State Department helps the national government become functional, construction projects improve living conditions, and agricultural projects provide food and livelihood. The process happens on an ink blot model. Each area of security expands and limits the reach of the insurgents. They are moved away from the populace and can be increasingly targeted by counter-terror operations. The increased intelligence provided by the local populace allows targeted strikes that will not cause harm to the civilians. Counterinsurgency is a long war strategy and takes time and resources to successfully implement. But with some patience, it can potentially yield an Afghanistan that no longer harbors terrorists.